Lansbury to bring it to you.
Nostalgia? You're right. Vodka reminds me of Stavros. All this talk about a sister I've never seen makes me miss my brother. Do you think he would have liked her?
Stefan.
I wonder if I would. Little Natasha from Serenity.
Serenity is a common enough name. There's probably a Serenity in half the states in this country.
I wonder if she's dark. Like Father and Stavros. Or fair, like her mother. And me. How old would she be?
Natasha?
Yeah, she would be Catherine's age if she were still alive. Growing up in Serenity.
Please stop drinking.
I'm a good Russian. I can hold half a bottle and still have steady hands.
What about a clear head?
Well, I rely on you for that, don't I?
All right, look. Both women bear a resemblance to each other. This Kristen Nilsson and Catherine's mother, whatever her name is. One was a governess and the other was a cook.
A cook?
Right.
Yes, that's right, a cook. Catherine's mother was a cook. As I recall, Kristen was somewhat of a chef. Or am I making that up?
In theory, Kristen Nilsson brought her daughter to the United States to this town called Serenity, and Catherine was raised in an estate, didn't you say?
Yes.
Right. With the same name. Both of an age.
What? Mothers or daughters?
Both, I suppose, but it doesn't mean that Catherine is Natasha.
Oh, did I say that? Did I say that, Alexis? It's obviously an accident of chance. It's dumb luck. How's that for an Americanism? I wonder if my sister uses them. Catherine Bell certainly does.
Coincidence.
Two women look alike. They are both mistresses and servants of powerful men. They have daughters the same age. They raised them in places bearing the same name. Now, how many coincidences add up to fate, Alexis? Tell me that. Teach me to go firing guns in the dark.
Maybe she's not. What if I can prove it?
I'll try you at the hospital.
I really hope you weren't calling Catherine.
As a matter of fact, I am.
Were you planning to ask her if her mother was your father's mistress?
Well, not so directly, but yes.
George offered no proof that Kristen and Natasha escaped Helena's plans for them. He's old. He's probably got them confused with someone else.
Well, George said that Natasha and Kristen were sent to America to a place called Serenity. Catherine Bell was raised on an estate bearing the same name. Now, you'd have to admit that would be an unusual coincidence.
I understand that you want to find out whether or not she's your sister, but at least do it privately. We'll use one of our investigators. I'll have a full report by morning.
No, I appreciate you wanting to help, Alexis, but I will handle this in my own way.
What if George is right? Catherine will be in danger, and you'll have put her there.
Catherine Bell?
Catherine, it's Stefan.
I've been expecting your call.
I need to ask you something. Do you have time?
I'm in the middle of a meeting.
This is very important.
Can we discuss it later?
All right. At the hospital.
All right.
I'll see you there. Now tell me, Alexis, how will I be putting Catherine in danger?
Edward.
About your father, do you have any memories of him?
Avery Stanton was a rich man who owned the mansion where my mother worked. To call him my father would be a stretch.
But technically, according to what you've told me...
As my mother was dying, she finally told me the truth. The two of them had had an affair, and I was the result.
Did you ever confirm it?
People don't lie on their deathbeds. What would be the point?
I can see why you'd be compelled to take your mother's word.
I have more than her word. I've got proof.
Are you telling me that Avery Stanton admitted he was your father?
He never even looked at me.
Well, then did he say something to your mother?
All I ever heard him say was, "Nice tort. Let's have it again tomorrow night."
I'm sorry, Catherine. You said that you had some kind of proof.
I do. And not anything anyone said. Scientific proof. The very best kind. But I have gotten older, and my neuroses have grown up too. Anyway, it finally became possible, never mind how. So I had a DNA match run on Avery Stanton to prove that he was my father.
And did the test prove it?
Well, there's proof and there's proof. The test results said that I could be and probably was and am a Stanton. Genetically speaking, that is.
Probably.
Well, it seems that science has caught up with the rest of the world with not being sure about anything nowadays.
Well, did the report mention the degree of probability? I'm sorry, is that an odd question?
No more odd than the last 5 or 6. Why are you so interested in who my father was?
Interested in your background, in your parents, everything about you.
You poor baby. You can't help yourself, can you? It's all right.
What?
You're checking my pedigree.
Why would I do that?
In case you had to explain it to someone. Your mother.
I long ago stopped explaining myself to my mother.
I don't mind. I may not be an aristocrat, but I used to be preoccupied with my pedigree. I was so desperate that I even had Avery Stanton's DNA mapped after he died. He never would have permitted it while he was alive. They warned me in advance that the tests might prove that he wasn't my father, but they could never prove that he was. I can't remember now how close they said the match was. It's funny. I used to know it to the 4th decimal. It stopped being important. It didn't tell me anything useful about myself.
Still, it might be useful one day.
Why? How? My mother told me everything I needed to know. She was dying. Why would she lie? Especially after lying about it all my life.
Well, she wouldn't, of course.
I may be illegitimate, but the Stanton bloodline is known as that. Of course, it's not like yours.
I need to go.
Did I say something wrong?
No, it's late.
Well, I see you later. Not at the hospital here, but, alone.
Soon.
You promised.
I know I did.
Well, listen.
That's my answer.
Well, a DNA test is certainly persuasive.
It wasn't so much the test. I didn't see a report. I don't know how close a match it was. These things are never 100% conclusive.
But something must have seemed so.
Yes. The circumstances. The sheer improbability.
What circumstances?
Catherine's mother made a deathbed confession about the Stanton person.
And?
And? Isn't it obvious? She couldn't have been my father's mistress, or why, in her final moments, would she tell her daughter yet another lie about her paternity?
Maybe she thought the original lie was in danger of being exposed.
Why are you being so obstinate?
Well, I don't mean to be. It's just that fraternizing with the help is such an easy accusation to make and so difficult to disprove.
What, are you failing to see the logic here? The woman was on her deathbed. She had no reason to lie.
You're right. I'm sure you're right. It's just there are so many coincidences. They're from the same town. They look alike. You can understand why. I just want to be sure.
Don't you think I do?
Now we are. Unless
Unless what? Out with it.
Unless a lie was the only way Kristen could protect her.
From what?
Us.
Helena knew that your father had other women. But a child, that's a threat no mere mistress could pose. I mean, another child would covet what Helena wanted for her own sons, you and Stavros, who could play on your father's heartstrings. That's why she wanted to end Kristen's life. And Kristen knew that she and your half-sister wouldn't live a day if Helena ever found them.
Get to the point, Alexis.
If you were Kristen and you knew you were leaving this world, wouldn't you say anything, tell any lie to save your daughter's life? Wouldn't you want to keep the secret from her? Especially from her. How could she be aware of the danger? How could you be certain that her curiosity wouldn't lead her right to Helena's door? And wouldn't telling her that a man who you knew would refuse to see her be the perfect solution?
Check out ABC Wednesdays.
All right, then. I won't pry. I think I've shown you that I can be patient. I guess I've shown you I can be impatient, too. Good night.
Wait. I've given you so little. I don't want you leaving here tonight without proof of how much you mean to me.
I have it.
And please take this as well.
It's beautiful. It looks so old, but so new.
It hasn't been worn in over 80 years. My great-great-grandmother, by all accounts, was a virtuous and pious woman. They say Saint Tikhon blessed this when she went to Yaroslav. She was killed by Bolsheviks in the first months of the revolution. They took her rings, her jewels, even her shoes. But this they would not touch.
It's part of your heritage. It's irreplaceable.
So are you. That's what I want this to signify. Please wear it. You're the only woman I've ever known who could never dishonor it. You'll be my last thought when I close my eyes tonight.
I wonder if I'll even be able to close mine. Good night.
Alexis? Alexis?
Did I hear you call me?
Yes. Please. Help me end this torture. You swear to me that you will be my ally, my confidant, and you will help me find a way out of this.
And Luke is...
Alexis, that we will not rest until we prove that Catherine cannot have been born a Cassadine.
After all this time, you need oaths and vows from me?
In all this time, I have never set you a task so private and intimate.
If you want my promise, you have it. If you want me to swear to it, I will. You have always protected me, Stefan, and I will help you and shield you in any way that I can.
Thank you. I cannot be alone in this.
You aren't, and you won't be. Stefan, what if we can't find incontrovertible proof? What if it just doesn't exist?
It has to. And if I have to enlist Catherine's help to find it, I will.
You would ask her to do that, knowing what that means? Helena! If Catherine so much as breathes a word of this to Nicholas or anyone else now or any time before Helena's dying day...
I know. My mother will have her killed. Thank you for keeping a clear head as always. Tomorrow, we'll search in earnest. Good night.
Night. Leo, the proof. It's time.
A special part. I still can't believe you gave it to me. I know how much family heirlooms mean to you.
Then that should tell you something. And I want you to keep it close to your heart. And remember, no matter what else might happen...
Stefan. What's wrong?
It's nothing, just more business worries. Catherine, I promise you, this will be the last day of this endless waiting.
Good. But I'll expect to hear from you very, very soon. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's 10 o'clock. Second period by now. Nicholas is at his first day of school. I hope he's all right.
Where's that man from the government?
Price called a few minutes ago. They're at the airport. They should be here within the hour.
Well, if they're not here within 15 minutes, send someone down to the docks to look for them. My life has been on hold long enough.
At the risk of making matters worse, I'd like to paraphrase one of those Americanisms that you seem so very fond of. Good things are usually worth waiting for. Henry VIII waited 15 years for Anne Boleyn.
During which time her affections strayed.
True. And then he had her head chopped off. I don't think that will be the case here. Mr. Soames is bringing the papers that were delivered to the immigration office by Kristen Nilsson when she fled to the United States with her daughter. I'm sure that will tell us a great deal.
As long as they confirm that Natasha could not have grown up to become Catherine Bell.
What's taking him so long?
Well, perhaps he's had a change of heart. These bureaucratic drones are notorious for paranoia, aren't they?
I think I hear him. I'll go check. Mr. Soames was just about to ring the bell.
I'm sorry, I'm late.
Well, you're here now. With the documents, I presume?
First, you must swear that you will never use my name in connection with these papers.
You have my word, as well as my cousin's.
Because you know this is highly irregular, not to mention illegal. Visa applications are the confidential property of the United States government.
Precisely why you are being compensated so handsomely. Alexis? This section here asking where the applicant will be residing in America, why is it blank?
Oh, well, that's standard operating procedure when there's a sponsor.
A sponsor?
You know, a responsible citizen who would act as a host for Ms. Nilsson and her minor daughter. Their address, their place of residence will be listed on the sponsor's form. Now, this note indicates that said sponsor will be financially responsible until such time as the immigrant applies for U.S. citizenship.
Who was the sponsor?
I've got that information here somewhere. Yes, here it is. A man named Avery Stanton. Address, Serenity, New York.
Application for U.S. citizenship. Did Kristen or Natasha ever apply?
Well, if they did, there's no record of it in the files. As a matter of fact, after the visa applications, there's no record at all for Kristen or Natasha Nilsson in any of the government databases. Not INS, not IRS, not Social Security. It's like they disappeared off the face of the earth.
How difficult would it be for a beautiful young immigrant with a small child and a visitor's visa to simply disappear?
Well, changing someone's identity is not as easy as you might think. Their birth certificates and driver's licenses and Social Security cards. Of course, if you had a few bucks to grease the right palms, that would make all the difference.
Mr. Soames, I think we've heard enough.
You remember your promise.
I will protect your confidence.
How could this be?
I never expected this to happen, not in a million years.
Avery Stanton, the man Catherine believes to be her father, sponsored Kristen Nilsson's immigration to the United States. And he gave her a job in his home, and then most likely to protect her and her child from my mother, financed her identity change.
And with one stroke of a pen, Catherine Bell becomes your sister. I'm sorry. You have no idea how sorry I am.
They say a picture is worth 1,000 words.
I would do anything if I could make this all go away. But the evidence is incontrovertible. What are you going to tell Catherine?
I've always considered myself an articulate person. But how can I tell the woman I've come to love that she is my own flesh and blood? How do I choose the words? And having chosen them, how do I ever find the resolve to actually speak them?
You have to tell her. You have to tell her that you can no longer be...
No.
What are you doing?
I'm not giving up. As long as there is a glimmer of a chance, I am not giving up.
What you're looking for, maybe I can help you.
I'll know when I find it.
You saw the documentation, the visa application, the passport photo. It tells a very convincing story.
Almost too convincing. Life isn't like that, Alexis. It's not that simple. It doesn't unfold itself in neat little packages. There must be some other explanation for Natasha's disappearance. There it is.
What?
Our timid little bureaucrat said no further record existed in any government file concerning Natasha Nilsson. Well, he obviously wasn't thorough enough.
How much work have you...
All along.
I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
Catherine can't be my sister because my sister is dead.
Are you sure? What have you found?
Natasha Nilsson, daughter of Kristen, no father named, died at age 5.
It's incredible. I'm thrilled for you.
What is it, Alexis?
Nothing.
No, if you have doubts, I would like to hear them now.
It's just that there's millions of people who have access to the internet, and I'm concerned about whether the information on the internet is the truth.
Why would anyone falsify the death of a child?
To protect her.
I see. So you think that Kristen lied about Natasha's death in order to keep Helena from searching for her?
I know it doesn't sound realistic, but the possibility exists.
Cancel your appointments. We're going for a ride.
To?
Natasha's grave.
Here it is right here.
Come here. I want to see the remains.
What?
The little girl's remains. I need to see them.
What are you, some kind of pervert? Get out of here before I call the cops.
I will pay you $5,000. Half now, half when the job is done.
I'll get the shovel.
Are you sure you want to do this?
I have to know.
Down to the coffin. I'll get some help lifting it out.
No, that won't be necessary. I'll help you myself. You can go now.
Sure you don't want help getting that lid off?
Positive.
It sticks. Use this.
Excuse me, may I see that record book?
You won't understand it.
You'd be surprised.
You want me to stay?
No, I'll return it to you on the way out if that's okay.
No problem. Take as much time as you like.
Stefan, wait.
What's the matter, Alexis?
We might be able to avoid this.
It's too late.
No. Hold on a minute. I have this record book, and in it are all the names of everyone that's buried here. If Natasha's name is in here, then you'll have
Let
the
me
proof
see
that you... It's written in some kind of code.
It's all letters, numbers. It's useless for our purposes.
Well, maybe we could figure it out.
And then what?
If Natasha's name is in here, then you'll have the proof that you need.
All the proof we need is right here, in front of us.
I never thought that I would be doing anything quite this morbid. It feels inhuman.
Alexis, if you don't want to be here, I will understand.
No, if Natasha's body is buried here, you need a witness. I'll be all right.
I know this is distasteful to you, and I am grateful for your loyalty.
I would do anything for you, Stefan. Anything.
Well then.
Jax.
Mr. Jack.
What?
See for yourself. It's a ruse.
I don't understand.
It's a trick, Alexis. To deceive Helena. I used the same one with Leslie Weber. Admittedly, I was more thorough. I buried a stranger in her place. Perhaps children's corpses are harder to come by.
Don't.
Oh, is that in poor taste? Forgive me, it's not every day I find out that I've been pining for my own sister. It's just fortunate we haven't consummated our relationship.
I'll get the caretaker to finish.
Wait.
Okay. I have you confirmed.
What is it?
It appears to be another code of some kind.
All the entries are the same thing.
Let me see the book. What is it?
RF 316.
Wait, RF.
316.
Go on.
09JC.
C. Did you say C?
Yes.
Well, this plot was purchased November 1968 by Kimberly Bell of Serenity, New York.
I'm sorry.
Well. Kristen was resourceful, wasn't she? Although you couldn't tell it by her photograph. Perhaps Father was advising her. Well, it would be a shame to undo all her hard work.
Yes, it would.
Do you think she paid for this out of her own wages? Avery Stanton didn't appear to be an overly generous person. I wonder why Father, if he cared enough to save their lives, didn't bother to provide for them. Well, out of sight, out of mind, I suppose. Catherine just... She doesn't seem like one of us, does she?
No.
No. Nevertheless, there's what is the legal term? A preponderance of evidence? Kimberly Bell and Kristen Nilsson are identical in photographs. Kristen and her daughter emigrated to the United States in 1964. Avery Stanton was their sponsor, the man Catherine believes is her father, although there was never any definitive proof of that relationship. And finally, Kimberly Bell purchased this gravesite for little Natasha in 1968 and buried an empty coffin in it. Considerable expense for a cook, but worth it to protect her daughter. My sister. Catherine's a Cassadine. It's fitting, don't you think? I supplant my brother only to fall in love with my sister. I didn't want Stavros dead. I mourned him. I even avenged him. And I was only too happy to take his place. To lead the family. To raise his heir to love Lasha, the woman he loved. If it's a mortal sin to covet your brother's wife, what must be the punishment for wanting your own sister? to the living purgatory? To know that she wants you? To know that you'll never be together and that you can never tell her why?
Do you think it would help her to know that she's in love with her brother?
Oh, I don't know. She might enjoy our illustrious heritage. 15 generations in an unbroken line. Eldest son to eldest son. You know, I was so grateful to have been born second. I thought it meant that I would be free. Then I realized that I wanted power more than freedom. I knew what it would cost. I knew that everything that was dear to me, everything that I loved, would never bear my name. I resigned myself to that. Until the night I shot Catherine. I wronged an innocent, and she forgave me. She believed in me. She was my last chance to be more than a Cassadine.
You are.
I still want her. I still want her, even knowing our true relationship. I still want her. My sister is simply another thing that I love, can never possess. So I suppose Catherine has finally taken her rightful place in my life. Please, have the caretaker finish here.
Of course.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Were you watching?
I was too far away to hear.
And the caretaker?
He returned to his office. He has no idea what occurred.
I wish I didn't. I'm not comfortable with manipulation. Turns out that I'm quite good at it. Which is really no surprise. I mean, I learned everything from Stefan. Ever since we were children, he would set people up and play them off like pieces on a chessboard. He did it to everyone. Except me. We were allies. He would make the plans, and I would help carry them off. And now I've taken everything that he taught me, and I turned it against him. My own cousin. My best friend. We trusted each other no matter what. And now I've broken that. For Catherine Bell. A known fortune hunter and a con woman who passed herself off as someone else in order to inherit one man's money, and then blackmailed her way into marriage in order to inherit another's, and then was a co-conspirator with a psychopath in order to get his money. Did I mention that he was mysteriously murdered and the killer was never found? I have a dossier on her. I tried to give it to him, but he wouldn't look at it. I didn't want to do this. And I hope to God that I never have to do it again.
Well, that didn't take long.
I didn't know you were expecting me.
I thought you were Alexis.
Well, that's a relief. I would hope by now I've merited a better welcome. Is this not a good time for me to be here?
Well, you saved me a trip, in fact. There is something important I need to tell you.
I know you have something to say to me. But before you do, let me go first.
If you insist.
Last night, you said that you feel more for me every day. And as much as I enjoyed hearing those words, they disturbed me just as much. Because they meant that I also had to take stock in my emotions and answer the question about how I truly feel about you. I tried. Over and over, I attempted to examine my feelings for you and to carefully weigh out the pros and cons. But I couldn't. Because every time I thought about you, my mind and my heart flooded with emotions that took away any power to reason that I had. I was unable to judge you because all I wanted was to be with you. So that answered the question. I love you, Stefan. I needed to know that. And I needed to tell you that. Sorry, I've embarrassed you. I know the coy thing would be to wait for the other person to tell you first. But I'm not going to play games with you, Stefan. I spoke from my heart, and I hope you hear it with yours.
You have no idea what those words have done to me.
I meant them. I honestly and truly love you.
I understand.
If you think I'm waiting for you to say I love you too, I'm not.
That is the least of my worries, believe me.
You know, the past few times we've been together, every time we've started to get close, you've suddenly pulled away. Maybe you don't even realize it, but you're doing it now. If there's something wrong, we can fix it, but you have to tell me what it is.
Again, I've been curt, and I apologize. As you know, I've had certain distractions of late, and I haven't been as attentive as usual.
I've always felt safe with you, Stefan. Even after I found out that you're the one that shot me. You start keeping things from me now, and that will change. I don't want to see us have to start over.
Catherine. From the very first moment that I saw you, I felt that you were a part of me. We are one. And not just since we met in Port Charles, but from the very hour of your birth.
Oh. So that's it.
I don't understand.
Are you purposely waiting for tomorrow for us to be together?
Tomorrow? What is tomorrow?
It's my birthday, and don't pretend you don't remember.
Oh, your birthday, of course. Of course I remember. I've been thinking quite a bit about your birthday lately.
That's what's been holding you back, isn't it? You want to make my birthday extra special.
Every day is special with you, Catherine. Every minute. But your birthday, yes, that will be something to remember.
And something you won't forget. I promise you that.
to go.
Why?
To prepare for your birthday. Meet me at dawn on the Windermere docks.
Dawn.
Yes. The earlier we get together, the more time we'll have.
I'll be there. Good night, Stefan. Rest well.
Did you tell her?
It was impossible.
Today, yes, but tomorrow
No,
you're
tomorrow is her birthday. She'll be expecting a celebration. It's the least I can do for her.
Prolonging this isn't going to make it any
I
easier.
will do whatever is necessary. As usual.
Stefan, I know what she means to you. And I'm very sorry.
How much did we have to do with Steve Hardy's death?
Let me understand this. Someone has accused me of murdering Steve Hardy.
No, of contributing to his death.
Niceties of vocabulary are irrelevant here, Nicholas. It's clear you've been told I killed the man. By whom?
That doesn't matter.
No, it certainly does. If it were a Spencer, you'd ignore it. Did Audrey Hardy say this to you?
No.
I'd prefer you didn't lie.
I'm not lying. Her granddaughter's heard it from somewhere. Apparently, it's a common rumor. I mean, yes, they did go to Audrey, and she didn't deny it.
Have you spoken to her?
No, I wanted to ask you first.
Well, thank you. But why?
Well, you shut down the hospital so the Cassadines could save it. I want to know if you used an existing situation or if you created the debt itself to begin with. Did you run General Hospital into bankruptcy?
What if I had?
Well, if that's true, then that would have raised Steve Hardy's stress level, therefore contributing to his heart attack.
Wouldn't it have been simpler to poison him?
Look, I know you didn't set out to kill the man, okay? I mean, the hospital was a way to control Laura, a means to an end. I mean, how many times have you told me that to sacrifice anything outside the family is incidental?
As you know, Nicholas, I had Laura under surveillance for many years, waiting, misguidedly, for the chance to reunite her with you and her mother. The opportunity presented itself when Leslie Liu fell ill. Something I had no control over. Yes, I turned it to my advantage, but I also made it possible for you to save the child's life. By the time we arrived in this city, General Hospital was already insolvent. Dr. Hardy was an admirable man who unfortunately invested a disproportionate amount of the hospital's endowment on research and state-of-the-art equipment. He precipitated a crisis which I ultimately exploited, yes. But I had nothing to do with his death.
I believe you.
I'm gratified.
But it's not as if you've never lied to me either.
I've never wanted to.
I know. Look, I'm sure you and Catherine don't want me to join you for dinner, so I'm gonna go up and change anything.
Nicholas, you're welcome to join us.
No. When I have a date, I don't want you there either.
I'll remember.
Scrap my entire deception campaign for Christmas, and that's half of its revenues.
Then by all means, you must go.
I probably won't be back tonight,
I understand.
but it'll happen soon. Thank you for the most magnificent birthday.
It was my pleasure. How much did you hear?
Enough to assume that you haven't ended.
What, my flirtation? My incestuous liaison? Not on her birthday. I will end it completely. But not today. Excellent work on the crisis you manufactured at Deception.
It's distracting, but ultimately harmless.
Well, I appreciate that. I've harmed Catherine in so many other ways. I'd prefer to leave her business intact.
Deception will survive. So will ELQ, albeit with a much smaller profit margin than they had last year. Why didn't you inform me that you were raiding the Quartermain's Far Eastern operations?
Well, you've told me repeatedly that you prefer not to break the law. In this instance, it couldn't be avoided, so since I didn't need your help this time, I thought I'd leave you out of it.
That was very considerate.
I know how much you do for me, Alexis. Occasionally, I try to return the favor.
I was just wondering if it was a good idea to take an adversarial position with the Quartermains. They're very powerful and very well respected. Ned is a formidable businessman, and if he finds out about this, he could retaliate.
Thus, the illegality. None of the holding companies can be traced back to Cassadine interests. We should be able to sell off ELQ's entire Far East division with the Quartermains none the wiser. But if you have an objection, now would be the time to raise it.
Just one. Is this strictly business, or did you want Ned Ashton out of town to distance us from each other?
Obviously, I precipitated the situation that sent Ashton out of town. I had no idea. How long have you been serious about him?
We've had dinner once or twice. Nothing more.
What could you possibly think you would have in common with him?
Eccentric families?
You don't discuss the Cassadines with him.
Only in the broadest terms. He's amusing and he's very smart. And he knows how thankless it is to take care of people for their own good.
Yes. Sometimes it's necessary. There's an obligation to intercede, even cause pain, when it can save someone greater suffering in the future.
That doesn't make it easy.
Only right. Excuse me.
I read Wuthering Heights when I was 12.
I am trying very hard to understand. Now, do you have some new information? Is there something that you know that I don't?
You saw Catherine.
In the conservatory. Wearing your robe, apparently just out of your bed. I did the research with you. I was standing right next to you when you looked in your sister's empty coffin. Now, have you discovered something new, that Catherine isn't really your sister?
She is my sister.
You slept with her?
How dare you ask me that? What did you say to her?
Very little.
You'd better hope for your sake that that's true. I told you I would deal with the matter. I am doing so. It ends today.
I am on your side.
We did not make love. You waited. Thank you. I apologize for not being here when you woke up. You were sleeping so peacefully, I didn't want to disturb you.
Could have left me a note or a message with someone on your staff.
You're right, of course. Please. I was hoping to be back sooner. I apologize. I'm glad you didn't follow my example.
I stayed for a reason. I've been feeling that something's been off between us for quite a while. You keep denying it, and I keep buying it because I want so desperately for it to be our time. But there's trouble, and it's getting in our way. Something changed the moment that we were free to be together. Don't deny it anymore. Tell me what's going on. The truth.
I won't deny it now. That's why I'm here. I'll tell you everything.
On second thoughts...
You're trying to understand why, when there's nothing stopping us from being together, I've suddenly pulled back.
Stefan, whatever it is, we can work it out. You know that I would do anything for you. Why are you looking at me like that?
I believe this is what is referred to as the moment of truth. You are correct in your observation, Catherine. You have been sensing hesitation on my part. But it isn't because of the great passion I feel for you. On the contrary, to be perfectly honest, I have no feelings for you. I never have.